Welcome into Locked On Knicks, and the Knicks somehow won this playoff game. I still don't know how it happened. 104-101. Donte DiVincenzo, hero of the night. Josh Hart, another hero of the night. Jalen Brunson found a heroic moment eventually. Isaiah Hartenstein with a game-saving block. There's so much to talk about. We're getting into it next on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome into Locked On Knicks, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day, whether you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform or taking in the sights and sounds on YouTube. We appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Make sure you hit that notification bell on YouTube or the auto download function on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Like right now, if you're up at night listening to this at night as we're publishing this, because I'm sure a lot of people are not going to get a lot of winks tonight. Huge win for the New York Knicks. I'm Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at thestrict.land, and he is Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster, which is really handy, Gavin, because I sort of blacked out a little bit down the stretch of this game. I seem to remember a Jalen Brunson 3 that will probably bring up some real bad memories for Sixers fans, bouncing on the rim before going in. I seem to remember a Tyrese Maxey falling to the floor and then just losing the ball, and Josh Hart just kind of going, "Oh, for me? That ball's for me?" And then 2 attempts later, Donte DiVincenzo hitting the shot that won this game for the Knicks before Isaiah Hartenstein saved things down the stretch. But you, and not me, are your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster. So give me the rundown and refresh my memory on what all happened.
Alex, this is the moment I've been working towards my whole life. So thank you.
We've been planting these seeds in the intros for literally like 2 years now.
We knew this was coming. Two tortured franchises, and my God, what a painful loss for the Sixers. And you know what? I never wanted to use this word on a Locked On Knicks podcast before. Borderline orgasmic win for the New York Knicks. Let's go through the final. I'm starting off at 245. So Jalen Brunson has a fadeaway that goes in and out. Donte DiVincenzo gets the rebound. The Sixers challenge it somewhat problematically, particularly if you have some orange and blue glasses on. Maybe even if you don't win the challenge, Kyle Lowry appears to make contact with DiVincenzo's hand. Either way, it's ruled Sixers ball because Joel Embiid had eminent possession. Tyrese Maxey works a give and go dribble handoff with Embiid. This was Philadelphia's pretty much their offense the whole game, certainly their entire offense down the stretch. Gets the jumper to go 97-96. Philly back on top after the Knicks. We got to remember, didn't take their first lead in this game until 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Kept it at about 5 points for the majority of that run until the Knicks just seemed to run out of gas in their half-court offense late in this game. And Jalen Brunson in particular, in the midst of, and we're going to get into this more in depth, another terrible night, misses another short turnaround fadeaway, did not have any burst, could not get any closer to the rim. Joel Embiid, even in a hobbled state, was an impressive deterrent. Tyrese Maxey tries to go coast to coast. I was thinking, all right, here's where we lose the game. Instead, Josh Hart hustles back. Maxey loses the ball out of balance. Jalen Brunson double team. Swing to the right wing. Same shot Anunoby hit the night before to make it 104-97. This time, Josh Hart misses the 3 short. After 4 threes in the first half, he was short on a bunch of them in the second half. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, 2-man game. Knicks play nearly perfect defense. Possession ends with Maxey taking around a 30-footer. Maxey, of course, drains it. It is 100-96 Philadelphia with 1:11 to go. At this point, Philadelphia has about an 83% chance to win the game. Brunson misses his 3rd straight shot, gets Tobias Harris on a switch, double crossover, floater, can't get it to go. OG Anunoby fouls Kyle Lowry after he picks up the rebound. And then Lowry makes the first free throw, 101-96. At this point, the Sixers have a 96% chance to win this game. It seems like it's over. Did I get my timeline wrong here? So OG was fouled by Lowry on a drive. I'm sorry. Then Brunson took a 3. that was short after he passed up what might have been a better shot. At that point, he was 0 for 4 inside the final 2 minutes. And then Lowry was fouled on that rebound. Lowry made the first free throw. Sixers have a 96% chance to win the game. Lowry misses the second free throw. Brunson pushes off the miss. He gets stripped by Kyle Lowry, but he falls to the ground, and Hart ripped the ball from him first time of 2 in the final 30 seconds. He would do that. Kicks it out to DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo drive. Kick to Jalen, left corner. Jalen escape dribble. First miracle for the Knicks. 3 bounces off front rim and in. There's that Brunson God-given touch. Here's the next miracle. Inbound to Tyrese Maxey. Jalen Brunson gets away with just ever so slightly grabbing his jersey. Maxey somehow fails to make the catch, gets the basketball back, loses his footing. Josh Hart again rips it away from him on the ground. Kick to DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo missed 3. Hartenstein, extraordinary rebound, play of his career in heavy traffic to OG Anunoby. Anunoby, the court sense, rotate to the left wing. DiVincenzo drains the 3 and is immortalized in Knicks history with that shot. They come back down. Tyrese Maxey gets Isaiah Hartenstein on a switch all series long, Alex. He has been burning the Knicks on this play, getting a center, and he's just too fast. Not for Isaiah Hartenstein on a per-minute basis, the second best defender in basketball this year, according to EPM. Hartenstein swats it. 2 free throws for Anunoby. Embiid misses at the buzzer. Knicks win. Take it away, Alex.
Yeah, if I may, real quick, I'm going to give a little treat for our YouTube viewers, but I'll talk it through for the audio listeners. So just a little win probability graph.
Wow, I didn't know it got that high. That's great.
Where the Sixers were projected to win this game for most of the first half and into the third quarter, and then you get into the fourth quarter and things start to look a little like they might go the Knicks' way. And for much of the fourth quarter, things were looking good. Then all of a sudden, the Sixers, you see this nice little line graph go way up one way, and then like your least favorite crypto that just took a dump or whatever, it just goes straight down to hell. That was pretty much the ride of watching this game. I still haven't fully recovered yet, dude. Like I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime with the stakes this high. And of some of the people that I know that are a little older than you and I, the immediate reaction was, oh my God, this is the Reggie Miller game, but in reverse. Like this is finally retribution for the Reggie Miller choke game. And the almost exact same thing happening, but in favor of the Knicks. And man, it's so hard not to get like romantic with this team right now with like how destined everything feels. I was getting so bummed. I was already starting to like come up with my talking points for the show. Be like, man, all right, like Jalen Brunson, like now's the time to actually worry. Like him playing this bad actually cost the Knicks a game now. Like now you have to start worrying. Like if he keeps playing like this, they're not going to win this series potentially. And then they find a way. It was like, I don't know, it's very Jurassic Park, life finds a way. The Knicks find a way too, man. I just, what a shot by DiVincenzo. What a freaking game by Josh Hart, playing all 48 minutes and still through the final buzzer looking exactly the same as he did the entire game, which like you can't say for a single other player that was on the court tonight. Like certain guys look gassed. We saw like even I think you could argue like Maxey finally by the very end there finally just didn't have quite as quick of a step to get to the rim, which led to him getting blocked by Hartenstein, who probably also had springs in his legs thanks to all the adrenaline. But just, oh man, it's really starting to feel special with this team. And this was not an easy first round foe. And like Joel Embiid looked way better in this game than he did in the first game. Maxey built on what he did in the first game and somehow got better. And yet the Knicks still, even with Jalen Brunson struggling as he did, pulled this game out. Sometimes this team really feels unbeatable this year. This is one of those nights.
It is extraordinary the way that the Knicks were able to lift up Jalen Brunson after another bad performance for the second straight game. To your point, not against a normal 7 seed, but a team, if they had been healthy, I think pretty, I mean, maybe you could, the caveat you could throw, if the Knicks were healthy, they would have pushed for it. But if the Sixers were healthy and Randall still got hurt, the Sixers would have been the 2 seed in the East. I think they would have been one of the 3 or 4 front runners for an NBA championship. They are not fully healthy. The Knicks, with no Julius Randle, are even less healthy. And because of it, they have been as reliant on Jalen Brunson, I think, as any team in the NBA is on their best player over the second half of the season. You could maybe argue Nikola Jokic. This is a Knicks team with one consistent shot creator, and his name is Jalen, and playing a team that at full strength was on a near 60-win pace this year, an over 60-win pace this year. And they're gone up 2-0 with Jalen Brunson over these first 2 games, shooting 16 of 55 from the field and 2 of 12 from 3. And it's because of Josh Hart. It's because of Isaiah Hartenstein. And it's certainly because of Donte DiVincenzo. We're going to talk about all of them next and how they contributed to this Knicks win on Locked On Knicks.
But first, we're going to let you know about our friends over at DoorDash. You want to make mom smile? Start Mother's Day with flowers or surprise her with gifts from the brand she loves, delivered the very same day with DoorDash. This is, of course, assuming mom isn't a Knicks fan and that this wasn't the best gift of all time. Does mom have a sweet tooth? Is she a tech enthusiast, a beauty connoisseur, or is she outdoorsy? No matter what she's into, you can make her smile with a fruit or flower bouquet, makeup, tech gear, workout wear, and more. So pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? Get a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You can't go wrong. So get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply.
And we also want to tell you about our good friends over at Monopoly Go. Look, we've all been there. Either as a player or a fan, it's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friend's money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime, with tons of twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So go back out there, put your game face on, and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, before we get into Donte DiVincenzo, I know we have to talk about him because that was top 3 shot I've seen as a Knicks fan. I think it was a top 3 shot I've seen as a Knicks fan. I couldn't really tell you the other 2 off the top of my head. So maybe it's top 1 by the end of
Maybe
tonight.
the second one is the Brunson one, right? Immediately before it.
Possible. And then that Hartenstein block, I'm gonna call it top 5 play. And that's who I want to get to, because shout out to Josh Hart, the 48 minutes, 21-15, 3-2 and 2. We'll touch on him too. But Hartenstein, Alex, a scoreless first half, and for the second straight game, a relatively nondescript first half. Picked up 2 really quick fouls on a screen and then a really soft one on Joel Embiid. And that was mostly it for Hartenstein the first half. Then went on to pour in 12 points in the third quarter, a key 2 in the second, 7 of 8, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Those 3 blocks loomed incredibly large, none more than the last one. But I thought Stan Van Gundy said it best. Those little flip shots look easy if you're watching it on TV. They require an extreme amount of touch, and just over and over again, Hartenstein was able to convert on them. And in a game when Brunson couldn't hit a single thing around the rim, those were essential. But those 2 late rebounds in the final 2.5 minutes, the first one is going to get lost to time a little bit because the second one was so significant. But his ability in traffic to just go up and get it and save this team, to me, epitomizes why the Knicks are able to pull out these games, because it feels like all their guys just have this extra gear and saying, all right, if I have to do it to win, I am going to be able to do it. I am going to find a way. I thought for the most part, outside of one dumb foul, played brilliant defense down the stretch as well on Joel Embiid. And then, I mean, that close on Maxey tells you everything you need to know about what this guy has become. This guy who halfway through last season, we were saying, all right, should we just trade this dude back to the Clippers? He's found his aggressiveness. He is in probably the best shape of any center in the league. And he's developed a level of athleticism on top of his intelligence and his instincts that just flat out makes him a top 5 defensive center in basketball. And the Knicks might have another one in Mitchell Robinson. He is extraordinary, and I think he just epitomizes, I mean, everything that is right about the Knicks right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I don't have too much more to add other than just the context of what I feel was the turning point for Hartenstein. And it's maybe the most New York Knicks thing that it could have possibly been, which was Joel Embiid had 2 plays. He got called for one of them, got reviewed for another, where at one point early in this game, he kind of like gave Josh Hart a shove, and he didn't get called for it ultimately, even after a review, which was an interesting choice. But then Isaiah Hartenstein took that to heart, and like from that moment on, it became personal with Joel Embiid, and you could see them jawing at each other the entire game. You could see Embiid trying to like imply that Hartenstein was, like going out of his way to bump him and stuff, and being like, "See, he's bumping me. Like, call a tech on him." But just they're getting tangled up constantly. I mean, clearly it got personal between those two, and I thought that Hartenstein did so much better of a job of keeping himself between Embiid and the basket in this game. And like you might look at Embiid's stats and be like, oh, he's still, I mean, he had 34 points and like he still certainly had a pretty good game, but he looked way more uncomfortable in this game with Hartenstein in the game than he did in the first game. And Mitchell Robinson did his part to sort of neutralize Embiid in the first game, and maybe it'll just be an every other game song and dance with these two as to who has the best game against Embiid, and you just ride the hot hand, which is fine, good problems, but it was just he did such a better job, and it just seemed like he got fired up based off that one play and the one little shove by Joel Embiid, and then just was off to the races and was like, I'm gonna make this guy's life hell. Donte DiVincenzo, though, if we want to talk about guys who had a bounce back game, I mean, even just outside of the big shot to win the game for the Knicks, I thought that he did such a better job in this game of being impactful, even outside of scoring. And that showed up in the plus minus. He ends up being the top plus minus on the team at a plus 11. He ends up with 2 steals, 19 points, shot 50%, 4 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line as well. And Gavin, I thought the big thing for him was that he looked pretty respectable on defense in this game, and drew Maxey a couple times, did really well there. I mean, there was just so many times in that first game where even though he went like 2 of 5 from 3, which, on paper is good and whatever, the impact wasn't felt elsewhere. Like it seemed like he was kind of in his own head. He was playing a little sloppy. This game, it all tightened up. He was getting his hands on balls, like doing all the things that you love to see out of Donte DiVincenzo, while also, of course, making the big shots, including the biggest one, like you said, possibly of our lifetime as Knicks fans. I can't say enough about how good of a game that he had.
I thought this was one of the better defensive games he played the entire year. He was only credited with 2 steals. He forced 4 turnovers in this game. I can take you through each one. Like, just had great active hands versus Tyrese Maxey at one point to deflect a pass on a drive with the speed Maxey's going at. That is such a tough play to make. Another one where he just chased Oubre hard around the screen. And I don't know if he stripped it off his leg or if it just went off Oubre's leg, but it was because of the pressure DiVincenzo was applying. And then the Knicks, there was this great sequence where they generated a jump ball off a challenge that I think was initially going to be a foul. And then Embiid won the tip, but DiVincenzo just anticipated perfectly where it was going, stole it, got to the line in transition, and then saved another basket later on by poking the ball away from Batum. When Embiid had a seal under the rim, it would have been a layup for Embiid. Sixers don't end up scoring on that possession. And then a fifth one ended up taking a charge, I think 2 possessions later. I thought his best defensive game of the season, got that massive rebound with 2.5 minutes left. I don't think it ended up leading to a bucket, but again, just a testament to him being around the ball pretty much the entire night. And I think it should count for something, like early in this game, hitting big threes with Embiid sitting way back and drop. We can finish up talking about this a bit, Alex, because I think it's part of why Brunson didn't get going. I was shocked that Tibbs didn't keep going back to those dribble handoffs with him and Hartenstein, because every single time Embiid was 10 feet back in the paint, and it felt like DiVincenzo could have got a three whenever he wanted. The Knicks essentially, as far as I noticed, I'm going to rewatch the game, didn't run that after the early going. Either way, DiVincenzo, absolutely essential to the Knicks winning tonight. I'm stunned, Alex. We've somehow gone 20 minutes so far, and we have not really gone in depth on Josh Hart. So we're going to talk about him, and we're going to tell you why Jalen Brunson is struggling to the extent that he is. Perhaps his worst 2-game run of his season so far, and maybe a little bit on what the Knicks can do to make his life a little bit easier, whether there's something going on with an injury there. We'll get into all that next on Locked On Knicks.
But first, we're going to let you know about our good friends over at FanDuel. And, stop me if you've heard this before, but it's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, and baseball's in full swing. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. And you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all in an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. And of course, you can go ahead and bet on championship favorites. And maybe you're feeling some type of way like I am tonight. The odds are moving heavy for the Knicks right now. By the time you listen to this, if you listen tomorrow, they might well be the third or fourth highest odds in the NBA to win the championship at this rate, because they're clearly getting lots of action, lots of interested Knicks fans here. They're currently at a plus 1,700 though. So by my math, I think that means if you bet $10, you get $170 back. So pretty solid money. Would have been better like a week ago when it was like plus 3,900, but you can still get in on it if you want to. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
We also wanted to remind you this next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today I want to say how I feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. Alex, I would have obsessed over this Knicks game if they lost it with the way Embiid was moving, and easy points there to be had, I thought, throughout the game. Jalen Brunson somewhat inexplicably having yet another terrible game. This one, I don't know. If the Knicks went on to lose this series, it would have been with me for years. And of course, that does not equate to a genuine mental health issue. It would have bugged me for the rest of my life, though. But if you do have a genuine mental health issue, therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team. It's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Alex, tell me a little bit about Josh Hart. A 19-point first half, 4 threes in the first half. The Knicks were in desperate straits, I think is a fair way to put it. Throughout most of this first half, it felt like Philly had a window when Tyrese Maxey hit his first 3 threes. They went up 9-0, then 11-2. Brunson couldn't hit a single shot. There was a window to run away with this game, and Josh Hart almost single-handedly capped with a running pull-up 3 to end the half, kept the Knicks in this game, and then did enough down the stretch with those 2 loose balls to ensure that his efforts in the first half turned into a win.
Yeah, kind of hilarious that running 3 at the end of the first half, because that's something I wish the Knicks would do more. The Knicks never go for the 2-for-1. So I was actually really surprised to see him like sprint down the floor and go for that. And I was like, oh, all right. He's actually like going for a 2-for-1. And like even Breen sounded kind of surprised. He's like, oh, look at that. Josh Hart 2-for-1. Okay, cool. And then he makes it. And you're like, dude, like, why don't we do this more often? This seems great. I love the 2-for-1. I don't know. I don't understand why Tibbs seems to dislike it for whatever reason, and instead likes to just kind of like burn the full 24 and give the other team like 8 seconds at the end of every half. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's neither here nor there. Awesome shot by Josh Hart. And you're right. I mean, he was the hero of the first half. Like without him, the Knicks lose this game straight up because things were looking really ugly. I mean, they were down 10 points for most of that second quarter. And it seemed like every time someone would make a shot, the Sixers would just come right back and hit the exact same shot right back in the Knicks' face. You know, like Knicks make a three. Oh, yeah. Well, now Tyrese Maxey's going to make a three, or Kyle Lowry's going to make a three, or, you know, someone's going to come down the other end, hit a three right in your face. Tobias Harris even made a couple threes, and he's halfway to Detroit already. And he made a three or two, or maybe even three of them. I don't know. But, you know, it just seemed like everything was going tit for tat. And then all of a sudden, Hart, you know, comes on right at the end of the half, not dissimilar to how he came on at the end of the second half of game one, but just gets the Knicks within striking distance. That's all they needed. They were within 4 at the half. You know, things were much more attainable then, and they went into that third quarter and were able to tie things up going into the fourth quarter. And then obviously we see how things ultimately went there. But just like shout out to Josh Hart too. Like, you know, I know he didn't do a ton of scoring in the second half, but like you said, still made impact plays. Obviously had the wherewithal to just grab that ball that Tyrese Maxey was presenting for him late.
And also we have to note he grabbed the ball on the first three too. Like
yeah,
he did it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just 2 huge heads up plays. All that in the 47th minute and 45 seconds of his game. Just crazy stuff. He winds up going the entire distance, 48 minutes. I'm sure I haven't gotten a chance to watch post-game availability yet, but I'm sure he had some really funny quotes about it. And yet he'll continue to just trooper on and do whatever this team needs. I know we gave him so much crap for the Heat series last year, and we even brought it up like last game and it leading into this series and everything else of like, he needs to prove that he can hit shots, you know, this, that, the other. But man, this guy comes through for this team, and he deserves so much credit for what the Knicks have been able to accomplish without Julius Randle, just from the perspective of providing that secondary ball handling, from getting all the way to the rim and doing at least some of the things that Julius Randle used to do, while also just being, all in all, one of the best like heads up players in the NBA right now, I think, as far as guys that just make few mistakes, even if the turnovers were a little much early in this game with, you know, getting the ball slapped out of his hands on drives and whatever. He was a hero in this game. No other way to say it. And he's been a hero the first 2 games, and I don't see that changing when things shift to Philly. And maybe he'll help put the Knicks up 3-0, which would be such a crazy feeling if that ends up happening in this next game. But that's neither here nor there. Just for this game, he was fantastic.
He is such a freaking gamer. I don't know. He's, you know what? It's more than that. He's a sports movie character in that he's the wise cracking sidekick who can just pull any skill out of the toolbox that he needs to win a game, because he's not a great shooter. He's a fine shooter, but he's not a great shooter. But when the Knicks need it most, he says, all right, I'm just going to pull out of my belt 4 threes in the first half, because that's what the team needs right now. And I can figure out a way to do that. And when this team feels like a team of destiny, it most often feels that way because of Josh Hart, because he does stuff that is borderline out of body. And that first half, I mean, what he did last game, like the last 3 hit to put that last game away, has been out of body. And then my final note on him, like late or like halfway through the fourth quarter, Brunson's on the bench still. Knicks are trying to hold on to a lead. Him getting a rebound and creating a transition opportunity out of thin air with his push. He got it to Devo, extra pass to Bogey, who hit another 3 after he hit another big 3 earlier in the fourth quarter. And that was just Josh Hart creating offense out of thin air. And for a team that sucks in the half court right now, with a leader in Jalen Brunson that is not playing well, that is everything. All right, Alex, we're going to be super fast on this, but Jalen Brunson, we're going to talk about this more in our next 2 shows before we get to game 4. 16 of 55 for over the first 2 games of this series. What's your diagnosis on him right now?
I don't totally know, man. Like, because the last game, it seemed like he was having a hard time dealing with what the Sixers were throwing at him, which is weird in and of itself, because he's dealt with longer defenders. He's dealt with full court pressure for basically the whole second half of the season. he had a long time off. I mean, maybe that's ultimately what the diagnosis is here. He had too long off and kind of lost that rhythm that he was in for just like the entire second half of the season, where he was just breaking down double teams and, you know, shaking longer defenders and everything else. But, first game, he seemed more uncomfortable, seemed like he was kind of trying to foul bait a little too much, whatever. This game, he got a lot of clean looks in the second half, and he just didn't make any of them. I don't know what is going on with him at this point. I'm so grateful that the Knicks won this game, because otherwise this whole episode was going to be about what's going on with Jalen Brunson. Like, maybe that's, I think we were tossing around the idea of possibly throwing out a bonus episode today, and maybe that's what our bonus episode is today, is trying to figure out what is going on with Brunson and how to fix it. But as of right now, it kind of just seems like he's got the yips. Like, I don't want to simplify it quite that much, but he's getting the looks that he loves. He's getting those little mid-range shots that he's hit a zillion of all year. He's getting wide open spot up three-pointers, which are one of his most efficient shots. He shoots like 45% on spot up three-pointers. He's gotten all the way to the hoop. He's, whatever. Like, at the very least, he's getting to the free throw line. Like, he got 9 free throw attempts in this game and hit 7 of them. So that's good. And his chemistry with Hartenstein was really good, which is what, part of what led to Hartenstein having such a big game, which was good to see that kind of make a comeback. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't worrisome. And I hope that first game in Philly, he comes out with a vengeance. And maybe these 2-3 days they have off in between give him the time to kind of sort out whatever plagued him in New York here.
I have a lot of thoughts, Alex. I think the 76ers are playing brilliant defense on him. Honestly, I've never seen a team come close to defending him this well. And I think Joel Embiid is, even in a hobbled state, the key to it. I don't know if Brunson totally has his legs. The burst is not the same as it was in the latter parts of the season. And that could just be last year's playoff run into the World Cup, into basically having to do everything for this team the entire second half of the year, finally catching up to him. Could just be Jalen Brunson not playing well. But we're going to talk about that on a future episode. He is Alex Wolf. I am Gavin Shaw. Your New York Knicks are up 2-0 on the Philadelphia 76ers, and Donte DiVincenzo deserves a statue. We'll talk about everything throughout the rest of the week. Until then, love you guys. This is Locked On Knicks.